Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome to this new writing lesson, Persuasive Essay. When was the last time you tried to persuade someone to agree to your opinion? Do you remember when you tried to convince your father to buy a certain game for you and he refused? You insisted, but you failed. He didn't buy it. Do you know why? Because you don't know how to write a persuasive essay. Let's get started. What is the word for trying to convince someone to change his or her mind about something? It is the art of persuasive writing. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to: number 1, identify the purpose of writing a persuasive essay. Number 2, list the kinds of persuasive essay. Number 3, rate the key features in a persuasive essay. Number 4, mention the steps of writing this type of essay. You're going to compare the pre-writing to the drafting stages when you write this type. And number 6, you explain the essay revising technique. And number 7, the last thing, how do you send it to the other people? Through publishing or presenting your essay. What are the forms of writing a persuasive essay? It can be in the form of advertisement, tutorial, speech, propaganda, review, blog, or the last one, which is the most important, persuasive essays. The first one is the advertisement, in which you try to convince the people to do or buy something you like. The second one is editorial. It's about current issues appear in newspaper and magazines or on television, radio, and the internet. In a persuasive speech, you may try to convince the audience to take an action that supports your opinion. You may also need to be persuasive if you're planning to be a candidate in a political position. That's why you need to present propaganda, which is often about political issues and usually includes emotionally charged appeals. When was the last time you watched a movie and you had to write a review to evaluate the item or the movie or the book or the game that you bought? Be careful, because other customers will consider your review as an evidence whether they will take a decision to proceed or retreat. What about blogs? In a blog, you provide commentary on a particular topic, often combining text, images, and links to other blogs, web pages, and other media related to this topic. Last but not least, in a persuasive essay, you use logic, reasons, and emotions to convince readers to join the writer in a certain point of view. Do you think you will win the competition? Will you be able to change the other people's minds? Mission completed. Your persuasive essay is to convince the readers to agree with your opinion. These are the basic features. Number 1 is a lead or a hook. It captures the reader's attention. Then the thesis, which states the writer's assertion or belief about the topic. The supporting arguments convince the reader that the thesis is correct. And in the conclusion, you restate the thesis using different words. What is the purpose of lead or a hook? It's to grab the reader's attention to start reading your essay. And these are examples of the most common hooks: anecdote, question, hyperbole, setting, illustration, phrase, or quotation. And here we come to the most important sentence in essay, which is the thesis statement. Sentence that restates your assertion or belief about a topic, and you may start with I believe in so and so, or I think blah blah blah. Is that enough? No, you still need to support your argument. How? Using reasons, supporting your opinion, and adding details and examples. In the conclusion, you should restate the opinion in brief, using different words to express the same idea that you mentioned in the thesis statement. That is the format of the persuasive essay. It should have an introduction, body, or maybe bodies, and conclusion. Give the details in the body, not the introduction, and not in the conclusion. What should I write in the conclusion? You should end by summarizing the most important details of the argument and stating once again what the reader is to believe or do. These are some of the introductory phrases. In my opinion, it is my belief that, and so on. And on the right here, these are some of the concluding phrases. And these are some transitions that you can use to introduce supporting reasons. And on the right, these are some transitions that you can use to introduce details. Do's and don'ts in a persuasive essay. First, do use persuasive vocabulary. Don't try to pass off opinions as facts, because they are not facts, they are only opinions. Do use an exciting hook. Don't start every sentence with the same word because this creates boredom and redundancy. Do remember to always support your three main reasons and your goal, and don't attack the opposition, which is the counter argument. Do organize your three body paragraphs with the most convincing reasons to least convincing reasons. Don't use personal pronouns like I or me or you or we or etc. Do use transitional words and transitional phrases. And don't forget to have fun when you're writing. Before you publish your essay, you need to proofread. How? By checking your essay and make sure that it's free from spelling mistakes, missing capitalization, grammar errors, and make it perfect. And if you have a grading rubric, refer to it to find how can you get a good mark. Organize your essay and at each paragraph. Does each paragraph have a topic sentence, which always comes at the beginning or at the end of the body paragraph? Do all the sentences in the paragraph relate to the topic sentence? Does each paragraph in the body support your opinion in the introduction? And does the conclusion tie it all together and instruct the reader on what they should do now? This is an example of a persuasion scoring guide. Have a look at the details. How can you get a score of 1, 2, 3, or 4? What are the key features in writing a persuasive essay? Number one is a strong thesis or claim, logically organized reasons and relevant supporting evidences, transition words, phrases, and clauses that create coherence, counter argument and response that refutes the counter argument, formal style, reasonable tone, and make sure that the conclusion follows logically is from the argument presented. In the pre-writing stage, you should select a topic and then make a claim. Also, you need to explain your reasons and evidence. The evidence that you can use can be either facts, statistics, examples, quotations, anecdotes. Also, you need to avoid logical fallacies. When you support your thesis statement, you should avoid logical fallacies. What are they? They are either hasty generalizations or circular reasoning. What do we mean by hasty generalizations? We mean when you use words like all or every or never because you can't make sure that all the students will agree with you. And what do we mean by circular reasoning is when you have the evidence and the conclusion the same. Like, I didn't do the homework because I didn't do the homework. That doesn't make sense. In the drafting stage, you should organize the body in terms of importance. You start with the most important reasons, then you go on to the least important. Or you can do the opposite. You can start with the least, then you go on to the most. At the end, they should be in order, either from least to greatest or from greatest to least. And make sure that you use transitional words as we said before. In the conclusion, you should summarize the argument and you should restate the thesis or claim and also the main reasons. What are some of the questions that you can ask yourself to check whether you've fulfilled the task or not? Question 1. How clear and strong is my thesis or claim? How well do my reasons explain the thesis? Where can I add evidence to support my reasons? How clearly did I organize the details by order of importance? Do I maintain a formal style and a reasonable tone or not? How fairly did I present and address counter arguments? Don't forget, you need to be fair. In the example here, the person who wrote this essay, he presented the counter argument. He had to add a transition. He refuted the counter argument. He eliminated also in the revision or in the revising stage, he eliminated the unrelated evidence. Remember also about your tone, it has to be formal because if your style is casual or your tone is harsh, readers will be less likely to accept your argument or even take it seriously. What is the tone? It's an attitude, and it is especially important when responding to counter arguments. So don't make fun of the counter argument. See these two examples here. The first one is inappropriate, the second one is appropriate. You can also use persuasive techniques to enhance your writing. Some techniques can be rhetorical questions or questions asked for effect, not for answer. For example, don't we all care about our students? Another technique can be repetition of keywords and phrases. For example, fewer demands need to be made upon students. Fewer demands will help students succeed in school and in life. That is a repetition of the keywords in order to provide a persuasive technique. Editing and proofreading. You can use this checklist below to edit and proofread your draft. For example, have I checked that all words are spelled correctly? And I recommend you use any of the applications that will help you find the mistakes in spelling. Next point, have I capitalized the first letter of every sentence? Quickly find out the first letter of every sentence. And have I avoided run-ons and fragments? More than one idea running into each other without a proper conjunction? Have I checked that all pronouns agree with their antecedents? Make sure that pronouns must always agree in number with their antecedents, or the words that they refer to. If the antecedent is singular and the gender is not clear, use the phrase he or she or him or her. For example here, a student must have his or her parent because the gender is not specified whether the student is a male or a female. And here are some of the proofreading symbols. Of course, there are more. The last stage is publishing and presenting. You choose one of these ways to share your persuasive essay. Either you give a speech or you write a letter. Don't forget to reflect on your essay by asking these questions to yourself. Which of your reasons is the strongest and why? And which part of your essay did you have the most trouble writing and why? These are also other topics to write about. Feel free to choose any of them and write about it as a sort of practice or as an example of practice. Here is a summary to what we've discussed in the video. Have a look, stop the video, read on your own, and see whether you have any questions or not. And if you're planning to present your essay in a typed version on Savas, please have a look at these rubrics because they are adapted to suit online submission of persuasive essays. And here is an example about lockers for everyone. Stop the video, read it to yourself, and then try to find where is the attention catcher. Underline the position statement, which is a thesis statement. Double underline each main point as it appears in the essay. Circle the clinching statement, and what are the three main points in this essay. And here is another one as well. Stop the video and think of the answers. Discuss the answers to these questions within your group. And here we come to the end of today's lesson. Today we've talked about the purpose of writing a persuasive essay, kinds of persuasive writing, the key features in a persuasive essay, the steps of writing this type of essay, comparing the pre-writing to the drafting stages. We also explained the revising techniques, publishing, and also presenting your essay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.